Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Puzzle of the Week. And this week, I'm really excited about the Puzzle of the Week because this is probably the most epic puzzle I have ever solved. And that puzzle is Naplu Ultra by Andrewsarchus. This puzzle combines two of the more pathological things that I really love in puzzles. One is chaos construction. So in this puzzle, you have to build your own regions. But the other is S cells, which are cells that potentially actually contain more than one digit. And this puzzle does an excellent job at combining both of those things into a puzzle that is mind-bending and very often quite surprising. I totally understand if you don't want to give it a try first. It did take me 3 hours, but if you do want to give it a try, there's a link below. And if not, please enjoy me solving Naplu Ultra. If you enjoy these puzzles of the week, I really recommend you stop by my stream. I stream on Saturdays and Wednesdays, times below in the description. And I'd really like to see you there. As you can see, the chat participates a lot and helps me out, helps me not break the puzzle. This puzzle I definitely would have broken without chat's help. So thank you very much to everyone who was there. If you want to get notified when I'm streaming, you can always hit the subscribe button. If you're not subscribed yet, I'm always happy to have new subscribers and new people stopping by. And if you do like the stream and you do like the content, you can consider becoming a member by clicking the join button below, or supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/ZetaMath. Very much appreciate those of you who do that. You'll see in the thank you screen all the people who support us already. We very much appreciate it. It really helps us sort of keep doing this. Effectively, doing all of this has become my husband's full-time job. So it really helps keep everything sort of floating along nicely that so many of you have chosen to support us. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you all around the stream real soon. Enjoy the puzzle. Howdy, everyone. How are we doing? I know that I'm competing with Simon today, apparently. I just learned that right before I went to start. So we'll see. So if you are swapping back and forth or double viewing or whatever, no hard feelings. I, of course, am a big fan of Simon. Simon is a big part of how I got into all of this to begin with. So whatever we do. So today we have something very special. We have Naplu Ultra by Andrewsarchus, who is in chat. Andrew or Simon will start before he finished reading the rules. It's possible. This is a combination of many things that I love. It is an Andrewsarchus puzzle. It is a chaos construction, and it is an S cell puzzle. But by various accounts, it is not an easy puzzle. So I've talked to a few people who've done it, and what I've heard is this is not really a 6 out of 5 difficulty puzzle. This is really a 5 out of 5 difficulty puzzle, but it's a long puzzle, is my understanding. That the steps individually are not ludicrous, but there are an awful lot of those steps. So we'll see. Well, Naveria, I'm only streaming for 8 hours today, so I might not be able to do anything after this. We will see. But actually, anyway, when this came out, I kind of wanted to do it, but I said after I got to 1,000 subscribers, I would do this puzzle as sort of a reward, exciting celebration thing. So that time has come. We are now at over 1,000 subscribers. We finished our 1,000 subscriber celebration. So this is maybe like the last piece of the 1,000 subscriber celebration, if you will, is to attempt to do this Andrewsarchus puzzle. So I will try and explain. I will try and explain the rules, and then also try and do the puzzle, and try not to mess up the puzzle. We'll see if I can manage to do any of those things. Okay, so let's start with the fact that this is a chaos construction puzzle. Which is to say, yes, I would love bets in chat as to whether you believe this will be our longest solve, especially for those of you who've solved it before. But if you've not solved it, I'm still interested. If you think, before we do it, if you think that this is going to be the longest solve we've ever done on the channel. Alima says after solving we'll be on 2,000 subs. It's possible. Okay, so let's start with the Schrödinger part. So the Schrödinger part is that every row and column has to contain the digits 0 through 9 once each. Okay. Now, if you carefully, it was Carousel by 2 to 10th, was the longest solve on stream ever. So if you count carefully, there are 10 digits in 0 through 9, but despite everything else, this grid only has 9 spaces. And so the way that you have to do that is you have to, in exactly one space in every row and column, fit 2 digits. So I could, for example, go 1, 2. I could put both a 0 and a 3 here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And these cells that... yeah, I count Caterpillar as 80 puzzles rather than 1, although maybe if I'd have done Glipperl's puzzle from Caterpillar would have taken longer. I'm not sure. Oh, by all means, if you've done the puzzle before, that just makes your help more useful, Naverio. So this is how S cells work. And so there's going to be 1 every row. We're probably going to put the S cells in circles. We're going to maybe mark some things that can't be S cells with X's. I'm not sure how the notation's going to go. It's going to be a nightmare. We are officially going to make this cell the bet cell. Row 1, column 6 is the bet cell. However, I'm not going to have any way of marking it. So just for now, before we start, I'm going to mark it like that, but that's going to be gone very shortly. All right, so that's the S cell part. In addition to the S cell part, we also have that this is a chaos construction, which means that there are regions in the puzzle. However, we don't know what the regions are. And every region has to contain the digits 0 through 9 once each. However, an interesting twist in the combination of S cells and chaos construction is that means we don't actually know how many cells there are in each region. So a region might have 10 cells, and the region would have 10 cells if it happens that the region has no S cells in it at all. So if there are no S cells, then it will, of course, take 10 total cells in order to make the digits 0 through 9 appear. However, there's nothing in this puzzle to stop us from having there be 3 S cells in a region, in which case you would only need 7 cells. So equally well, this could be a whole region with the cells, with the digits 0 through 9. So we have to make extra sure we're not assuming that regions are going to be 9 cells like they usually are. They could be any number of cells as long as they incorporate the digits 0 through 9 exactly once each. Okay. Okay. So now we have the various assorted types of clues that float around in here. Okay. So now there are 3 different things: circles, squares, and arrows, which will be defined in a moment. But I should also note that these blue lines, they're actually region sum lines. I really like the blue that Andrew has chosen here for the region sum lines. I think it's a very striking, personable sort of blue. And so region sum lines, just to remind you, mean the sum of all the digits at each sort of region the line passes through is the same. So if this was the green region, and I'm assuming the green region goes on forever, and then this is a purple region, and this is the orange region with the purple sort of running over there, then we're saying the sum of, and let's just be double sure, yes, all the digits. So all the digits here would have the same sum as all the digits here would have the same sum as all the digits here. That's what that would mean. 55 sounds right to me for the bet cell. Something like that. 10 times 9 over 2 plus 10. Whatever 10 times 9 over 2 plus 10 is. 10 is 45 plus 10. Yep, 55. Sounds right. All right, so that's the blue lines. Okay. The circles count things. So the circles and the squares and the arrows are all going to count things. For the circles and the squares, and I did pre-read the rules to this just because I was a little afraid of reading them for the first time in front of you all. The circles and the squares count things. So the number in the circle tells you the number of cells in the surrounding 3x3 neighborhood, which belong to the same region as the circle. Now, here's an interesting twist, because remember, this could be an S cell. So it could be that at the end of the puzzle, this cell actually contains the digits 5, 7. And so the question is, what does this circle mean if it's an S cell? And the answer is that what it means is that either there are 5 cells in this 3x3 box that are in this region, or there are 7. So one of the digits is exactly correct, and the other digit has no value, or has no meaning, no impact on the circle at all. Okay. The square counts the number of regions, excluding their own region, which have cells in this 3x3 neighborhood. So we look in this and we count all the regions except the region that the cell itself is actually in. And then we count that. And it works the same way, whereas the correct answer has to be in the cell, but something else could be in the cell too, because who knows? All right. And then finally, we have the arrows. And then the arrows point to the S cell in the corresponding row or column. And the digit in the cell at the tail end of the arrow indicates the distance from that cell to the S cell. All distances must be positive. So, for example, if this was the S cell in the row, then this digit would be a 2, because I would count 1, 2 to get to this cell. Okay. Now, a particularly nice quality of this is that it tells us lots of things that immediately are not S cells. So I'm going to gray for now everything that is not an S cell. Let's see. Okay. These aren't S cells either. These aren't S cells. These aren't S cells. These aren't S cells. So we're going to now as we sort of try and internalize the rules, we're going to try and figure out. We're going to try and figure this out. Okay. So the good news is, so all I did here was I grayed everything that was behind an arrow, because the things point to these. Let's see. So the S cell is down here, so none of these are that. Oh, I'm missing some gray in column 5. Oh, I am missing some gray in column 5. Now, the great thing is that this is going to get us a digit immediately, because we're now going to know by looking at row 3 needs an S cell. It can only go here. And so with that, we also get to fill in this digit is a 1. And that means we get to have Zach, who is going to get to take the day mostly off, I suspect. But Zach can come out and dance for the 1 and be extra excited for this dance, because he probably won't get to dance again for a while. And go loop, 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 da 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 da. Thank you, Zach. I'm sure Simon doesn't have a penguin on his stream. That's all I'm saying. All right. Chat has also pointed out that this cell also has a 1, because it is also pointing at an S cell. Now these aren't S cells. I am looking for an excuse as soon as possible uh, to get rid of this gray, but I can't get rid of it yet. Now, notably, I really do actually know that these two cells are not S cells because they're pointing at the S cell. So I don't have to worry about whether these are actually something else or not. This digit's also filled in. This digit is a 3 because you can count 1, 2, 3, pointing up to that. And so now that's actually huge because now actually this goes 1, 2, 3 and plonks an S cell here. Which is going to then de-S-cell all the rest of this stuff. This is a surprisingly generous start, which is terrifying. That also de-S-cells this stuff. All right, so we've got that. Now, this can't be an S cell, because if this was an S cell, I would need to put a 1 here, and I can't, so this isn't an S cell. Let's see. Can I do any more tricks like that? Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. Now, we have lots of negative constraints, which I should mention. All possible squares are given. All possible arrows are given. And all possible circles are given. So we have to keep that in mind. Okay, so Nicholas has a good point, which is that, so I've been very hesitant to pencil mark anything in this puzzle, and I think pencil marks are going to be an absolute nightmare in this puzzle. Because, for example, the circle number can only be a handful of things, but there could be extra stuff floating around. But Nicholas is completely right. This is not an S cell, so it can only be a 2 or a 3. Because I can only possibly be putting the S cell in one of those two places. All right. So now I want to think about this 1 and see if I can do anything legitimate with this 1. Because this 1 is now telling me that there's only one other region in this entire 3x3 square. And so that these two 1s have to be in different regions, and those are the only 2 regions that appear here. So I'm going to make this green. That does not really show up well across the gray. Well, I'm going to make this purple and this orange, and every cell in here has to be purple or orange. I can't quite, I think, figure out what I'm supposed to do with that yet, but we'll work on it. I'm going to fill in the other arrows with their candidates, just in case I'm missing something. So this can be a 1, a 2, or 3, 4, or a 5 for this one. This can be a 2, a 3, or a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or a 6 for this one. This can be a 3, 4, 6, 7. Let's see. This digit can be a, let's see, 1, 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5. And now this one, interestingly, this is also 3, 4, 5. But now this is 1 less, so this is 2, 3, 4. Oh, actually, yeah, no, sorry, that's fine. I don't get to pencil mark this cell, though. Okay, and so chat has some things about the negative constraint that I should yes. Okay, so good point too. I think Purple Sidewalk / Meme Rister was the first person to say this, but the 1 here would have an arrow if either of these was an S cell, and it doesn't. So these immediately go gray, which then removes 5 as a possibility from this cell. Let's see. Do I have any other places where I can do cute things with the negative constraint? Let's see. Let's see. Afraid Not says row 5, column 1 can't be a 2 because there's a 1-2 pair in column 1. So there's sort of a virtual 1-2 pair between these squares. Is that the claim? The squares... Right. The square can't see... that's a good point. The square cannot see 3 regions. So that I can't pencil mark this because I absolutely do not know if this is a 1-2 or not. This I actually do know. Let's actually do it this way. This is a 1 or a 2 because the square is counting the number of regions in this area other than this one. And so the question is, could it see 3, in which case all 3 of these cells would be in different regions, but in which case this would not be able to get out. So this is a 1 or a 2. This contains a 1 or a 2. Oh, it could be 0. Nope, never mind. Nope, could be 0. Because, right, it could be 0. So no. So yeah, sorry, Afraid Not. You convinced me, but you did not convince the rest of chat, sadly. Because squares can have 0, which is absolutely correct. Okay. Now, an interesting piece about this 1-2 being on a region sum line is that this region sum line is way too long to have a 1-2 on it by itself. So for example, if this was a 1 or a 2, this cell would have to be the same digit. But now this cell is rapidly going to run out of things, which means actually because of the region sum line, all 3 of these have to be in the same region. I'm going to make that region red. Because if this was in a different region from this cell, then we'd immediately run into problems. And so these 2 are in the same region, but as soon as these 2 are in the same region, that comes along too. Okay, I'm just looking at the structure here to see if there's any chance we get some extra mileage out of that. Yeah, I mean, every single cell in here is purple and orange. But Nicholas is right. Okay, yeah, but I can apply that logic because purple and orange now need to extend. So purple needs to extend here, at least on the region sum line. Orange needs to extend here on the region sum line. So yeah, I agree with that assessment. At the very least, we need to do that. Okay, what is this circle counting? I've forgotten already. Circles are counting the number of things in the same region. So this digit's probably pretty big, but who knows exactly what it is. This is 0, 1, or 2 by our previous work. Oh, I never filled in this cell's candidates. This cell is either a 3 or a 4, right? Yeah, this is a 3 or a 4 in order to fill that in. I just never got around to it, apparently, when I was trying to fill in all my arrows. Let's see. I'm now curious if I have any other negative constraints just hanging out there waiting for me to discover them. Because there's a whole bunch of arrows floating around here. Yeah, I don't think there's any nice thing about squares and circles being different. One counts a number of regions, and one counts a number of cells. So I don't think that does anything. Let's see. Nicholas is looking at this and saying it's both a circle and a square, which seems like it's going to be very useful. So yeah, there are 3 cells in whatever region the 3 is in, and there are also 3 total regions in here, which is interesting. Let's see. I'm looking for other cells that are going to be very... Okay, so this cell is... what's the biggest this cell could possibly be? I think the biggest this cell can possibly be is 4. Yeah, this is a circle square digit that has a 3 in it. 3 additional regions, sorry. You had to make it additional regions. That's so weird that the squares count additional regions and the circles just count cells, not other cells. Okay, so this is an excellent point from Jay, I think, which is there any way that this region sum line has as its common sum the value 3? And I think the answer is almost certainly that's not possible, because if it did, well, I would need to make, say, a 3 here, a 3 here. I could not make a 3 here, so then these two would have to sum to 3. They would have to have a 2 and a 1, but neither of them can be a 1. What if the 2 and the 1 went here, if that was a 1 and that was a 2? Maybe, okay, so let's try the other way. If this is a 1 and that's a 2, and by the way, remember that there could be zeros floating around, but zeros don't affect the region sum line, so that's why I'm not thinking about them. So we could go 1, 2... Oh, but we could actually have... Sorry, that's actually a good point. We actually could fill an entire cell with a 0. I was thinking about the zeros weren't going to, like, add to the sum, but actually we could sort of kick in zeros along here. Could also have a single cell with a 1, 2. That would be fine. I'm becoming slightly worried that I'm not going to be able to rule out the possibility. I think it's almost certainly not true. I think almost certainly these two are in the same region. But I'm not certain I can rule out the possibility as of yet that the region sum is actually, or that the region sum for this line is actually 3. We did correctly justify up here. I wanted to double check I didn't mess up. Yeah, there's no way that the region sum is 1 on this line, and as soon as it's not 1, it can't be 2. But I know it can't be 1 because 1 would require putting a 0 in this circle, and you can't ever put a 0 in a circle. So in fact, we were correct in saying that the region sum is more than 1, and so this needs to collect this cell and this cell. And once the region sum is more than 1, it also has to be more than 2. This cell needs to be orange because we need to total to more than 1 on the region sum line, Ambrose. So the total on the region sum line is not 1, and therefore, since the next cell here is purple, this cell needs to total to, or this cell needs to contribute something. Oh, does this use weird region sum lines? Oh, this maybe uses the old region sum lines rules, because this puzzle is old. No, for each pass. This uses the modern region sum lines rules. For each pass through. So what Ambrose is asking, and this is a very good question, because I absolutely did not think to check this. What if these two cells aren't orange, but then this cell is orange, and orange sort of winds away? around it. But in this puzzle, and this is something I just did not think of because I'm used to doing region sum lines rule puzzles that work the way this one does, which is that if a line enters and leaves a region, the count just resets, and so you need to hit it more than once. Whereas in some older puzzles for region sum lines, if the line entered and left orange, you'd actually add those two together, and then, oh boy, that would be a complete nightmare if that were what was going on in this puzzle. So we appreciate that that is not what's going on. Let's see. Is a 1 or a 2? I'm looking at things on borders to see if there's anywhere where I can put in some constraint. So this cell is at most 6, but it's not a 1 or a 3, so I'm going to fill in the candidates. And it's not a 0 either. So this is 2, 4, 5, or 6, I believe. Oh! I can recover a frayed knots point. I don't think this can be a 2. Because if this digit's a 2, it would also be in a circle. So what happens if this is a 2? So the negative constraint is actually going to get us a frayed knots point. So if this was a 2, then what would happen is 2 cells would be in this region. Say it's those 2, and these 2 would be in extra regions. But then, which would give us our total of 2 regions, but 2 cells would be in this region. So this cell actually can't be a 2. That's awesome. I really like that. You have my applause for that deduction. And so exactly the same thing happens down here. So we get a 0-1 pair, a 0-1 virtual pair. Oh, sorry. I think... so we have a 0-1 virtual pair, because this cell also is a 0 or a 1. But it was actually 2 that we were trying to get rid of, not 0 or 1. So sadly, this maybe doesn't get us anything, but it's cool. There is a 0-1 virtual pair in this column. Okay, so what can I do with the 0-1 virtual pair? Well, that means I know this cell is at least big. It's at least as big as 2, which seems to count as big in this puzzle. Okay, so J says that makes row 1, 9, column 9, not an S cell. I don't think so. So here's what we know. One of these is a 0. So one of these regions inherits the square. So either this entire square is part of a region or this entire square is part of a region. And now, does that do something interesting with these 2 circles? Because now these 2 circles would need to be different. If this is all part of a region, can these 2 circles still be different? It seems to me like they can. Let's see. I'm told calzone has a point. Row 9, column 3 can't be a 6. It would need an arrow for the S cell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, it would need an arrow for the S cell. Perfect. Yep, negative constraint would put a 6 there. Let's see. Are there any other places hanging around where I've got something looking at one of the S cells that would cause problems? I don't think so. So this isn't all a region, for whatever that's worth. So what is this digit? It's at least 2, but if it's not 2, it's at least 4. It's just interesting for the region sum line, is the only reason why I am trying to sort of make sense of this. Trying to check if there's like, if putting an S cell in one of these places would somehow break through the combination of the cells in the row and the cells in the column. But if it does, I don't see it yet. Okay. I did want to pencil mark in Nicholas's point about squares on the border, which is that this could never be as big as 5. So this cell is only 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I could have 4 different regions other than this region, but this region needs to get out, so then I'd have to have 4. 4 would even be tight. Thank you, David. For the amount of people, David has donated $25 via super chat. For the amount of people here now, always constantly appreciate the whole community. I agree, David. This is a fantastic community, and I think you're a very big part of that. I think you're a consistent source of positivity in this community, which is just great for all of us. Okay. So thank you so much, David. By the way, if you want to support the stream, David has just shown you one way to do it, which is to super chat, which is like some little button you have down at the bottom of the chat. If you want to do that, you can send a message and do that. I was told Brian was turned off, but apparently not. You can also, if you want, you can become a member with the join button. And if you become a member, you can, like Naverio and Jay, have your name in green to show that you support the channel, get a cute little windmill, and get access to the various Zeta emotes, such as we have a lovely penguin emote that Zach is very fond of, but there are some other emotes in there too. And you can also support us on Patreon if you prefer. So any of those are options. So now there's a beautiful point from Myristor, which is that this can't be a 3 because there's an S cell 3 cells above it. 1, 2, 3. That would not work. So this is not a 3. So 57 Thorns is looking at, okay, can we get a swordfish on S cells in these sorts of things? So here, for example, I keep trying to, I was looking at that earlier and trying to make this work. So I definitely know there's an S cell over here. But then we still need an S cell in each of these. But I'm not sure if we quite get a swordfish yet because we don't know anything about the regions. As soon as we know basically literally anything about the regions down here, then we'd know that... so, for example, if all of these were in a region, we'd know at most one of these was an S cell, and so we'd know, for example, that one of these was the S cell, so none of these could be. But we don't know that yet. Oh, in fact, actually... Oh, no, sorry. I said something that's completely wrong. Because in this puzzle, there can be more than one or no S cells in a region. Okay. Sorry. I can now reconstruct 57 Thorns' point, which is to actually look at these columns. This is the point. So in column 1 and column 2, there's an S cell down here and an S cell down here. And in column 5, there's an S cell down here. And that is a swordfish. Because that means I know there are 3 S cells in the bottom 3 rows in the highlighted cells. So that means these are not S cells. So that's cool. Trying to be careful up here that I don't confuse myself with my coloring. Because I don't know if these are S cells or not as of yet. Did I learn anything about the world in terms of numbers through the things I just shaded? I fear that I did not. But that was cool. I have always been waiting for someone to use an S cell on, or use a swordfish on S cells. So we would know for sure there was a particular number in here if we could eliminate one case out of these. Sadly, I'm not sure that we can. Let's see. One of row 4. Let's see. Sayori says one of row 4, column 2, 3 is a 3 because of row 7. One of these two is a 3 because of row 7. Right. Right. Okay, that is a good point. So there is an S cell here. I know that one of these two is an S cell, and so that tells me for sure one of these two cells is a 3. Which I do think is interesting. I don't know what to do with it, but I think it's interesting. I do know that there's at least 2 regions represented here, because every region sum line passes through at least 2 regions. But unfortunately, it could even... Oh, it can't be 3 regions. This does have to pass through exactly 2 regions. I just don't know which is the circle of the arrow. Okay, let's see. Nicholas does not like this circle being a 3. Let's see. If this is a 3, let's see if we can make sense of what that does. So that also makes that a 3. And that makes that a 4. So that makes my S cells go here, into here, and here. This being a 3 means that's a 4. And that's a 3. These two are in different regions. Row 7, column 4 would need an arrow up. Huh? So would we know this wasn't a 3? I'm losing track slightly here. But I don't think this ended up being an S cell in this story necessarily. And I don't know if this ended up being a 3. Okay, what was this? Okay, so yeah, in this version, this was a 3. So this did end up being a 2, because if this is a 3, I guess Nicholas started with, if this is a 3, this is a 3, this is an S cell, so this is a 2. So then this is not an S cell, so then that's an S cell. In Nicholas's looking at what happens if this is a 3. Granted, this is difficult to articulate, but right. The negative constraint, hey, pause. The negative constraint tells us that this isn't an S cell because this is a 2. So then this is not an S cell. But that then is an S cell. But I don't see where the world has gone wrong yet. Okay, so there's something interesting if this square is 1, too. So remember there's 2 versions of this square. It could be 0, in which case all of these are part of one region. The other possibility is that it's a 1. But if it's a 1, actually 2 of these cells are part of this region and 2 are part of the other. Because if it was only 1 cell... Oh, no, never mind. Sorry, I was about to use the negative constraint the wrong way. Nope, don't listen to me. Oh, I 100% agree, Nicholas. It is exactly the kind of thing to look out for. It was a very wise point to look at 3 here, because 3 here does a jajillion things around the grid. I just don't see it breaking the grid yet. But I think asking if this cell could really be a 3 was a very smart thing to look at. Now, I do know every cell in here is either purple or orange. Do I know, could this cell possibly be orange? Let's see, that would require there be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's plenty possible, I fear, for that to be orange. Okay, so the true value in this cell, actually, let's look at the true value in this cell. So there's a true value and a fake value in this cell, but the true value actually, could it be 2? Sorry, maybe this could be 2. If the true value in here isn't 2, it's at least 4. Is it possible that, granted that everything up here is only purple or orange, is it possible that this digit is actually at least 4? The true one. Because if that's true, if the true value here is 4, well, we see purple and orange up here. And so that's a total of 1, because this cell is purple or orange. And we'd need these 3 cells to all be different colors. So the true value here is 2 or 4. Those are the only possibilities. And if the true value is 4, the way that works is that these 3 cells are all different colors, and none of those colors are purple or orange. That seems incredibly difficult to pull off, but I unfortunately don't see it as being impossible. And I have this eerie memory that last time I did an Andrewsarchus chaos construction, I was like, oh, well, there's no way that's going to happen unless it's exactly this ridiculous string. And then it turned out to be exactly that ridiculous string. So the true value here is 2 or 4. See, what does it do if it's 4 over here? If it's 4 over here, it makes this a 3-5 pair, which makes either these 2 S cells or these 2 S cells. Okay, let's see. Afraid Not wants to double check row 4, 5, column 1. This being 2, 3 break the shapes at the bottom of column 1. Oh, sorry. There we go. These 2. Oh, how did I not notice that this cell was gray? Thank you so much, Memrister. I was very fastidiously not writing that in because I thought this could be an S cell, but it cannot be an S cell, of course. Because it is already marked as not being an S cell. So this is a 2 or a 4. Yeah, the Afraid Not was actually talking about these two cells. Unfortunately, there are way too many things that I want to notate in this grid for me to have clear, unambiguous notation for all of them. So maybe I should think about the region sum line. Is it possible that this is a region sum line where the sum is 4? Because in the possibility that I outlined, if this is 4, this region sum line, the sum is 4. And here's why. If this is a 4, remember that only happens if this cell is orange or purple, and these three are all different colors that are not orange or purple. So this and this would be in different regions. This region sum line would have common sum of 4. So this could outright be a 4. Otherwise, it would be a 3, and it would have to go something like 3, 0, 1 in order to get to my 4. But I don't see any immediate problem with this going 4, 3, 0, 1, and then 1, 3 or something like that. But the more I look at this, the less and less I like this being a 4. But maybe because this is an Andrewsarchus puzzle, I think I probably actually am trying to prove this is a 4, because what happens if this is a 4 is so pathological that it would force a lot of the rest of the puzzle. So I think this... So should I be trying to prove this is not a 2? What goes wrong if this is a 2? So if this is a 2, these are definitely in the same region. Hey, Sam, welcome. And hey, Jay. Oh, Sam has an insight. Excellent. Yeah, if this is a 2, these are definitely in the same region, because the common sum can't be 2 if there's a 3 or 4 on it. So this would be purple or orange. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try and understand Sam's point. So if that cell is a 4, neither row 8, column 1, nor row 8, column 2 is an S cell. Right? So, okay. So that's a good point. Okay. So, very nicely observed. So if this is a 4, Sam is telling us, this is a 3-5 pair, which means there's an S cell here, there's an S cell here, there's no S cell down here. So if this is a 4, one consequence of that is that the S cell in this row is exactly here, which now means this is a 3. So if this is a 4, this is a 3. And so this would have to go 3, 0, 1. And that breaks because of the negative constraint. Okay, yep. So here I can do it. Thank you, Sam. So let's go through that carefully. If this is a 4, it makes this a 3-5 pair, which means these aren't S cells, which means this is an S cell. So this is a 3, and that's a 4. And because this is a 4, these two are in different regions. And so the common sum of this line is 4. And that's a 3. So I need to get one more. Well, I can't get it here. So this just outright has to be a 0, which means this is a 1. But remember, this being a 1 breaks the negative constraint because this is an S cell now, and there would need to be an arrow, and there's not. So this isn't a 4, it's a 2. Which means that these two cells are in the same region. Let's see. It means that this is a 3, which now means that this is an S cell. There cannot be a second 0 because that would have to be in the same region, and I can't repeat 0 in a region, Garion. I keep thinking that same thing too, but yes, you can't repeat a digit within a region, which you'd have to do in order to go something like 3001. Although amusingly, even if this is a 1, it would still break the negative constraint. Oh, good point. Okay. Chris has a much easier way to see this, which is that if this is a 4, if this is a 4, this is a 3, which now means these are in the same region, but that's not this region. And so actually, if you use these 3 things are in different regions, actually this region gets trapped. So I think Chris Palmer has a slightly easier way to figure out what goes wrong. That's slightly easier than the more extended detour that I went on. So that is some digits. So now this is pointing at that. So this is a 2, and that's a 3. This isn't a 3 anymore, or in the corner, it's a 4 or a 5, which agrees with what I have over here. Let's see. This region sum line is getting interesting. Yeah, Chris's way was much nicer than the horror that I just inflicted. Okay, this region sum line can no longer have total 3. Because if this region sum line had total 3, what am I making these 2 cells? Actually, maybe I'm wrong. No, these cells can't be 1, 2, or 3. So the minimum that these 2 would sum to would be 4. And I could not make it work. So that means that these 2 really are in the same region. Hey, Judith. Unfortunately, I don't know if that region is orange or not, or purple, so I don't have a great way to mark that. But these 2 are in the same region. Don't let me forget that, because this region sum line now does have a total that is larger than 3. Okay. All right, so now this cell, now that this is not an S cell, it's now 0 or 1. So we have our 0, 1 pair. Now, this cell now is not a 0, 1, 2, or 3, so it is at least 4. So this is a 4, 5, or 6. Hey, Jessica. It cannot be 5 or 6. What's wrong with all of these being in the same region and then this being a 0? It's a circle. Circles can be huge. Yeah, this could be 6. All right. Nicholas is asking about the circles and squares in column 6. I don't think so. I don't think I can make any sense of it yet. Let's see. This cell, I should fill in that I know that this cell is not a 1, so it's at least a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can at least fill this in now that this is not an S cell anymore. Let's see. I have grayed everything. Okay, so now let's do a quick scan for negative constraints. So everyone can scan with me for negative constraints that I can now eliminate things being S cells because of, if that is possible. Maybe there are more. Uh, let's see. This is not a 3 anymore, Afraid Not points out. And because this isn't a 3 anymore, this cell is no longer able to be an S cell. This is not a 3 because of that 3. So now this is 2 or 6. So either that is the S cell or this is the S cell. Those are the only two possibilities now. None S cells are gray. Yes, Judith. Hey, Brennan, welcome. Happy to have you here. Quite a puzzle for your first, but hopefully you enjoy it. Gorgeous. Well spotted, Afraid Not. So, one of these two is an S cell by this. One of these two is an S cell by the column. That is an X-wing on S cells, meaning that these are not S cells. So that gets us some more S cells out. And now we've just got a little X-wing on S cells over here as well to sort of finish off the whole thing. Yeah, I realized as soon as I started explaining it that you were actually telling me about this X-wing and not that X-wing, but it did exactly the same thing. Let's see, row 8, column 7. Row 8, column 7. Okay. So now this has fewer options, is what is being pointed out. So it is not a 3 anymore. It could still be a 4 or a 6, and it's not a 7. So this is now a 4 or 6 only. Let's see. This is at least a 1 and at most a 6, which is a little gratuitous, but I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, have we found the negative constraint? Let's see. Row 3, column 9. Gorgeous, gorgeous. That's so cool. I wish it did more. But the S cell in this column is in one of these two places. And Afraid Not's point is there would need to be an arrow here if this was a 2, because both of them are 2 away, just in opposite directions. That's a really good spot. So this is 3, 4, 5, or 6. Let's see. The true value in this cell is let's see. I guess it could even be a 0. It's not very large, though, but it's not a 2. Can't be a 6 for the same reason? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it can't be a 6 for an even simpler reason. It can't be a 6 because there's an S cell 6 cells that way. Okay, surely one of these cells, or one of those cells, or one of these cells, surely one of these is impinging on a negative constraint somewhere that I can spot. Yeah, Afraid Not has identified something I had sort of noticed a little bit earlier, which is that one of these two cells is definitely a 2. Because if this isn't a 2, it's a 6, which means that's an S cell, which means this can't be a 1 by negative constraint. Oh, you're kidding me. Naverio is asking about 1 in row 5. So it's not here because 1 and 2 are different. It's not here because there's a 1 in orange already. It's not here because there's a 1 in the column. It's not here because 1 and 3 and 4 are different. It's not here by the negative constraint. Let's see. So one of these 3 is 1. I'm guessing I'm supposed to be able to see more than that, though. Well, the circle can never have a 1 in it. Because this 1 in a circle would say that region doesn't have any cells in it. So one of these 2 is a 1. Can I do better than that? I'm not sure I see how to rule 1 out of either of these. If this was a 1, then that couldn't be an S cell. Yes, the circled cells are Schrödinger cells. So there we have 3 Schrödinger cells that we have found so far. I know these 2 are in the same region. I'm hoping that we soon have all the Schrödinger cells so we can erase the gray. Yes, there is a bet cell. The bet cell is row 1, column 6. However, we needed all the tools available to us to mark stuff, so I did not mark it in any way. Keep thinking about if this was a 1. Okay, Andrew has a good point, which is that maybe I should think about this cell some more, because this cell now has to simultaneously be both the circle and the square, which is something that we have pointed out a while ago, but before it could be an S cell, so it could be both, but now it can't be both. So let's just pencil mark the bejesus out of this. So it's at least 2. And at most, well, let's imagine that it was 5. That would say there are 5 other regions, and 5 cells from this. That's too many. So this is 2, 3, or 4, and it's not 2. So what we actually have, thank you, Andrew, is we actually have a 3-4 pair here. Can this even actually be a 4? If this were 4, there would be 4 cells here and then 4 other regions. That's vaguely possible. I bet this being a 3 would be nicer than it being a 4. But the 3-4 pair is interesting. There's no chance that this does anything interesting with negative constraints, is there? Let's see. It can't be a 3 by the S cell negative. Then, let's see. Okay, so if this is a 3, it doesn't point to that one, right? Oh, okay. So, that's gorgeous. That is really cool. If this is a 3, then this can't be the S cell anymore because it's 3 away. 1, 2, 3. However, if this is a 3, this digit's a 4, in which case this can't be an S cell either because 1, 2, 3, 4. That's really cool. So this is a 4 and this is a 3, which is going to do a lot of damage because it's going to make this an S cell, which is going to make this an S cell. by S. Sudoku. Okay, now. Okay, now let me look at J40's point on the. Oh, the 4 looks down. Sorry, I will look at J40's point, but I will look at the easier point first, which is that the 4 looks down and makes this a 6. Thank you, Judith. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 makes this an S cell, which makes this our last. No, not quite. These are not quite our last S cells, but we're closing in on it. But that does make this a 2, which makes this a 6. And now that is going to place our last S cell, or our last S cells here and here. Okay, so I think we now have all the S cells. Let me go ahead and mark that there's not a 1 here while I'm looking at it, because this is next to an S cell now. And so this is definitely a 1, but it's something. Oh, sorry, no, this just is a 1. Because it's not an S cell anymore, right? These are not S cells. And so this is a 1. Okay, which is interesting because it says there's only one other region in all of these cells. But we have all the S cells now, so I think we can get rid of the gray. Let's try. Okay, so now every cell that is an S cell is marked as being an S cell. With a circle. And so every cell that is not marked with a circle is not an S cell. And this can't be a 1 because of that. So this is the 0. That's the 1. That's not a 1. Let's try again. That's the 1. These are all part of one region now. Because of that. Could that region be orange? Annoyingly, yes. I think. Let's see. Row 4, column 2. Oh, row 4, column 2 is resolved, so that's a 5. Yeah, these are all part of one region, so this isn't a 0 anymore, at the very least. This number has to be at least 4. Oh, sorry. The true number has to be at least 4, and it can't be 5. So the true number here is 4 or 6 only. So either these are the only cells in this region, or all of these cells are in the region. So these two cells go together in that they're either in this region or not in this region. Up here, I know these two cells are in different regions. I'm trying, and I may have to abandon this, but I'm trying not to mark things in colors until I know they're in different regions. Let's see. So people are looking at this region sum line with some suspicion, noting that there's this is 2 digits, in fact, but one of them could be a 0, I think, annoyingly. If this could not contain a 0, a lot would be forced. In fact, maybe everything would be forced if this could not contain a 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. This can't be a 4 anymore because of the negative constraint, because this is 4 cells this way. So this is only a 1 or a 2 now. Oh, Chris saw it exactly as I was explaining it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This can't be a 6 anymore for the same reason. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can't be a 5 either for a similar reason. Can't be a 1 either. This has been retracted. Circles can never be 1. Ah, right. A circle that's not an S cell is never a 1, right? So this is not a 1, because if it was a 1, it would be saying, yeah, the thing. Okay. 57 Thorn says this can't be a 4. If this is a 4, again, these are the only cells in this region. These two are in a different region or different regions. And so now this region has to escape over here. And so remember that this cell can't be a 5, so these would both be together. Oh, just by S cells, not by anything else. 1, 2, 3, 4 away. Not a 4. It's also not a 6 because there's a 6 in the row. So let's do this the nicer way. This is a 5. Nice to meet you, 5. I am glad that chat also always does that, of missing these things. So 1 cell of these, of one of these two, is orange. Okay, where is 1 in row 2? Okay, let's look for 1 in row 2. 1 in row 2 is not there or there by the negative constraint. It's not here or here by some combination of Sudoku and stuff. It's not there. Let's see. Do I know for sure that 1 can't go any of these other places? Don't see how I know that. I have to remind myself. I know that these two are in the same region. I just don't know which way that region bends. And I know these are all in the same region. Actually, I'm going to mark that these are all in the same region like that. I can't mark diagonally yet, right? Yeah, I cannot mark diagonally. But I'm going to, just to further do horrifying marks, I'm going to mark that these are all in the same region. This can't be a 5 anymore, because if this was a 5, I would need at least one of these two cells to be in this region, but this region already has a 5, so this isn't a 5. So this is a 2 or a 4. If this is a 4, it looks exactly like that. Be all of these in one region, all of these in one region. This would have to escape out one of these two. Row 3, column 3 must contain a 2. It's not 1. Okay, so this is counting all of the colors that show up in here minus 1. So with squares, you always subtract 1. But we know that all of these only contain 2 colors. 2 minus 1 is 1. This cell can't contain a 1. But what's the most it could be? The most this cell could be is if these 3 are all different colors that are not orange or purple. And that would make the true value in this cell 4. But Afraid Not is claiming this can't be 4. Because Afraid Not is claiming basically that this has to be a 2 for the real value, and then some other bogus digit that has no meaning. That geometry did look awfully tight. So if this wants to be a 4, I need there to be 3 new regions showing up along here. So this digit, So this digit would go here and to be different, and this would need to be a 5. Okay, I understand. So the reason Afraid Not is saying this can't be a 4 is because if you think about what putting all of those borders would do here, it forces this out, which means that this goes region, different region, different region. So the sum of this region sum line is 5, and we can't make this cell a 5 because it already has a 5, and it can't be an S cell. Okay, good spot. That was really complicated to see. Okay, so this is a 2, which means this is a 4. Oops, which means this is a 4, which means that all of these are in a region, which means there's a border here because we know these are not the same region. No, I did it wrong. Oh, it could join. Sorry, it could join because it could be 4 like that. Okay, this is a 4, but I don't know what the 4 looks like. Sorry, you're right. I had previously convinced myself of that, and I was wrong. Okay, they could become friendly. Okay. Okay, so now why? No, they can't become friendly because that would make this digit a 6, and this digit can't be a 6. I thought maybe this digit can be a 6. Oh, this digit has to be a 6. Never mind. It actually has to be a 6, which means actually all of these are in the same region. Now I get a real border here because now this already sees it's 4. So this is an actual border. Do we now believe this thing can't join orange? 3, 4, 5. Okay. Yes, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes. Even with S cells, I still cannot make this 11 cells. So we're going to make this blue so that I can get rid of all of these horrible lines. Okay. Now, I know these two cells are in the same region. So could that region be not blue? I think it still could be just. Can we please recenter mark the S cells? Oh, you just want like an S in the center? I can do that. So like a... Oops. I thought I could. 1 second. S. There we go. Like that. S, S. Oh, sorry. That's not an S cell. That's an S cell. That's an S cell. That's an S cell. S cell. S cell. S cell. Oh, the corner marks over the circle. So you want a, okay, so instead of marking this with an S, you want to mark this with a 2, and then get the 2 out of the corner, and then just say, okay, this is 2 plus something else. This is, oops, sorry. This is 6 plus something else. Okay, I think we can do that for now. Yeah, I think that does look better. It's going to limit our ability to pencil mark things, but I think it will be worth it in the end. Okay, so I'm being instructed to look at 1 in row 8. So 1 in row 8 is not here, not here, not here, not here, not here. Is there anywhere else I can rule a 1 out of? Unfortunately, 1 in a square is very easy to accommodate. So I think 1 still goes 3 places. Not column 2 either. Not column 2 either. Okay, I agree with that. So I think it goes 2 places. Yeah, the negative constraint over here is potent. What about row 7? Because row 7, it's not here, 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 here. It's not there. In row 7, it actually is down to these two cells that are next to each other. Could I rule one out of either of these cells through some machinations? Maybe not immediately. I don't know if I want to corner mark that or not. It seems a little dangerous. I guess I'll corner mark it. Never mind. I'm not going to. For now. Okay. This is a 5, which means one of these two is blue, and the other's not, which means there's definitely a border here. I just don't know which side the border's on. So blue either escapes up like this, or blue escapes out like that. I do have to remember that I need to use negative constraints on things like circles and regions, circles and squares. So now I might finally be coming into a position where using negative constraints on circles and squares becomes relevant. Okay, so this digit is going to be quite large. It's either a 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's a lot of possibilities, but okay, so Naverio is encouraging us to think about where this region gets a 1. So it's not from column 1 or column 2, but we have to remember this region could go all the way over here, because regions can have 10 cells on them. Oh, but this region can't have 10 cells, though, because it has an S cell already. This region can only have 9 cells at most. So it can't get a 1 here, because that would put a 1 by itself on a region sum line. That's not allowed. It's not getting a 1 from anywhere in these columns. So the 1 it's going to get, I think, has to come from one of these two cells. Oh, and this cell can't be a 1 because of the negative constraint. So I think blue has to get its 1 here. Do we believe that blue has to get its 1 here? I think I believe that. Okay, so this is a 1. And that is blue. Okay, now blue only gets 2 more cells. And so blue, I think, now needs to take these 2 cells to finish. If blue doesn't take these 2 cells... oh, no, sorry. Navario's right. It could be in the Schrödinger cell. This could be the 1. Yeah, I think Naverio and Brennan are correct. The 1 could have gone down there. Yeah. Okay, but now we're supposed to look at 1s in row 2, because now the 1 in row 2 is not here, 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 here. It's not here because one of those 2 places is a 1. So the 1 in row 2, and I think we did this before, is either here or it's in the S cell. I don't know which of these it is, but it's one of them. Good point. Good point. Ambrose has a banger point, which is that everything in this 3x3 square is purple or orange. Purple and orange have their 1s, so this cell can't be 1. So the 1 is boringly in the S cell, but we can at least pencil mark that. And I'm going to weirdly... I guess I want to center mark it. Oops. Sorry, I need to turn letter mode on so that I can get the S out of the center, so that I can put a 1 in the center. There is a 1 in this S cell among other digits. Okay. That was very well spotted. Okay, does that fix row 7? Because in row 7, I think one of these two had to be a 1. Let's double check. Not there, 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 not there. Yes, this is now a 1. S cells are not getting a color. Regions get colors. I appreciate the notation's not perfect, but I think giving S cells colors would make this very confusing. Okay, so this is not in its own region, for what it's worth. Is this the place we were talking? No, this was the place we considered it. Okay. Now row 8, column 1 is fixed. I am confused about what is meant by that. Oh, row 8, 1. Row 8, 1. Okay, where does the 1 go in row 8? So not there, not there, not there. Probably here. Not there. Not there, not there, not there. Yep, so the 1 here goes in this this cell, joining this S cell. Hey, Grickles. So the bet cell officially is row 1, column 6, Logan. However, I did not have any tools left at my disposal to mark it that I was willing to surrender for use in this puzzle. But you are welcome to put in a late bet on row 1, column 6 if you would like for half money. Okay. Logan has bet 1. Your bet has been recorded. Put an X in the bet cell. I was contemplating, and if I was doing this by myself, I very well might have put X's over the places that weren't bet cell, or sorry, that weren't S cells. But I was thinking about using X's, but I've not actually used X's for what it's worth. Okay, so this cell is bigger than 3, but I guess it still has lots of optionality above 3. These two, I need to keep reminding myself, these two are in the same region. That region might be blue, or it might not be blue. This 1 is probably not correct. I think the problem with 1 in row 9 is I think 1 in row 9 goes either of these two places. And then I think the 1 in row this one goes one of those two places, I believe. So I think we have a little X-wing on 1s left. I was not, by the way, dismissing your point. I just happened to have thought through that earlier. And so I had it loaded to think about that. I think, although I would love for someone to tell me that I'm missing a negative constraint or something, that these aren't. But I think, yeah. So Nicholas, so this all started from the question, where can blue get its 1? And the answer is these two places can be blue's 1. Okay. Annoyingly, this cell can be a 0. If not, it's big. This cell cannot be 0, 1, 2, 3. It could be a 4. If it's not a 4, it's huge. So if it's not a 4, then it's 6, 7, 8, 9. Which is interesting. Hey, Kodak, welcome. And this can't be a 4 because 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is not a 4. Okay, so these two cells are actually in the same region, which I have no great way to mark. But it's also true because now the total can't be 5. So these two have to be in the same region. Which in fact means that these two cells have to be pretty big as well, because they have to sum to at least 11. Okay, and these two also now have to be in the same region, because I can't get there in one. So these two are in one region. Okay, can I figure this out? I might be able to figure this out. These two cells are in the same region. There is one new region around here. I feel like I'm close on knowing something about the geometry here. But these two are yeah. I had believed that blue could take row 7, column 1. Am I wrong? If blue takes this cell, can it no longer... It could take its 1 here. Yeah, I don't... Then blue just becomes... Because keep in mind in this puzzle, regions can have multiple S cells or no S cells. By the rules. Now, blue would have only 8 cells if it took this cell, but I don't think that... Why couldn't it get a 2, say, there? Okay. What values can this cell have? I just want to write them in. So this cell cannot be 0, because if this cell is 0, then we run into this same problem that the total of this region sumline becomes 3 because blue already has a 0, and the sum of this region sumline cannot be 3 because of that. So this is not a 0. It's not a 1, it's not a 2. It's not a 3. So this is at least a 4, but it's not a 5, it's not a 6, and it could be, I think, 7, 8, 9. Now that is almost enough to rule out there only being one blue cell. But this could be 3, 4, and then that could be 7, unless this is seeing something 4 away or something. Yeah, I know blue can't be bigger than 9 cells. So if this is not a 4, the sum is too big to fit in this cell. But I think the possibility 3, 4, 7 is still possible, where this is 3 and 4 in a different region, and then this is blue and is the 7. And this cell is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The cell is not 7 away from an S cell, I don't believe. I mean, why can't blue just come up here? I don't think there's anything wrong with blue growing up like that. Like, I certainly don't think I know enough about this region sum to know that this can't be a single cell on this line. I mean, I imagine I will someday know that. Uh, but I think it's actually slightly more likely that blue takes this cell than this cell, but blue certainly takes one of the two. Uh, row 7, column 2 is blue. Row 6, column 3 would have to be blue. And you'd need 9 cells to get there. Yeah, but it could be 9 cells. 9 is correct. 1 S cell, 9 cells. That would be right. Or I could take that cell, whichever we wanted. Why do I have the Friends theme stuck in my head? Yeah, annoyingly, there are 10 digits. I would love for this to somehow... See, if I can get rid of the 4 from this cell, we'll know exactly what happens. But I don't see a reason why this can't be a 4 as of time of recording. Let's see, this is a 1 or a 2. This is a 2 or a 3 only. This being a 2 or a 3 is actually somewhat interesting. What do you mean without trapping blue? Blue doesn't need more cells. Blue can finish in 2 cells. Okay, so there's a somewhat sophisticated claim from Naverio that if I do the thing I think blue doesn't work because blue needs a 1 and a 3, and it can't get them... Let's see, the 1 would go here and the 3 would go here. It seems to me like the 1 could go here and the 3 could go here still. I feel like the claim... I feel like you've really exceeded way past the bifurcation threshold if you claim that if you draw the region in exactly this way, then there is a triple that you cannot satisfy, is really quite excessive. I'm not above using it, but that feels excessive. Let me look at Jay's point. Okay, Jay's point is, okay, so if we look at 1, 2, and 3 together, 1, 2, and 3 are all ruled out of all of these cells. They're all ruled out of all of these cells. So I guess the point is, okay, so it has to get all of 1, 2, and 3 from this column, because they're also all ruled out of these cells just for good measure. And so because I need a 1, 2, and 3, I need to get at least one of them needs to come from... Well, I could take this one, I suppose. But the point is I can't only take cells over here to do that. Okay. I can't imagine that's the intended deduction, but I because there's so many 1, 2s, and 3s in the grid, I can imagine there's an elegant way to phrase this that works. But you can take an extra S cell. You just can't take the extra S cell because of the 1, 2, 3 business. So this is blue, and this is blue, is the upshot of all of this. and this is not blue, is where this, the upshot of all of this. I don't love it, but I'll take it. The reason why blue can't, so I can explain that one. The reason why blue can't take row 7, column 4 is this. Blue needs to take one of these two sides because of this 5. So if blue takes not that side, blue would have to take that, and now blue is too big. Because blue is now 9 cells, but with 2 S cells. So that is, that's 11 digits. So these are blue. Still don't like it, but I'm trying to read Andrew's way of thinking about it. So the 3 in row 6, column 3 is in a circle. I'm trying to understand this. If that region is not blue, where does it escape from? Okay, so let me try and draw, just because I'm interested in this. I want to understand Andrew's way of seeing this. So this 3, if it's not blue, needs to get out somewhere. So it's going to take those 2 cells. Ah! Okay, that's gorgeous. Okay, that's really nice. All right, so the only way this would work then in this universe is because the 3 now has to look like this or that. And that's the only cells that this region gets, if this 3 is some other color. And so it has to take some other cell to keep going. But the cell it has to take is that one, and now blue is stuck. Because now it's going to have to do that. And then grow up like this. But now blue... Now I guess blue is having to do that. And then you have to argue that blue can't do this. But I think that's easier slightly. Because now we've got way too few digits. Anyway, I'm content now that I like the circle way of doing it better. Oh yeah, and even better, as Andrew points out, actually, I don't even have to think about it very far. I just have to look at it until this region now gets stuck at this 3 and it can't finish. So I don't have to think about where does this triple go in this region, which makes me slightly nauseous. And so we can instead just think about it in terms of the geometry. That's really nice, actually. The running into the 3 is very cool. Okay. So let's go ahead and make these look like this. So now, of course, these are the same region, whatever region that is. Okay, so now do I know which of these 2 things is blue? Is my next question. Well, here's one thing I know. I know this isn't a 4. Because there's a 4 in the region already. So this is a 7, 8, or 9, which now means these are all one region. Because now the total is at least 10. I can't put at least 10 in this cell, so these have to be in the same region. But I can't put at least 10 in this cell, so these are all one region. I kind of suspect that if I think about it, I'll know this region isn't a region I've already colored. It's definitely not blue. Is there any conceivable universe where this is purple? Because purple would have to make it down, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Purple would have to be exactly this L shape in order for this to be purple. Which seems unlikely, question mark. Okay, I'm just going to mark it like this. It's almost certainly not purple, but I don't know yet. But these are all one region. I do know that much, so I'm going to mark it like that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nope. 10 counting the S cell. I counted the S cell as 2. And there's only one S cell in that string. Yeah, Nicholas, but I counted that. I counted this as 2. Row 8, column 3. Okay, yeah, let's pencil mark this. That's a good idea. So this is not a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5. So this is a 6, 7, 8, or 9. And it's not a 6. So this is also a 7, 8, 9. So actually, there's 2 7, 8, 9s here. So the total here is actually quite large. People are really invested in me proving that this is not purple. I mean, part of the reason why I didn't think about it very much is I don't think it tells me anything if it's not purple. But let's follow this, because there's been a few different suggestions about what happens with this. So if purple takes exactly this shape, then we have to look at row 4, column 4, and see that this only sees 2 other regions. No, that doesn't seem to help at all. Well, here's an easy way. This circle would be a 2. If purple took exactly this shape, which is literally the only shape it could take, this circle would be a 2. So not possible, because the circle can't be a 2. There's already a 2 in the column. So this is not purple, so we can give it its own color. It can be green. That's too easy, says chat. Okay, let's look and see if we know anything nice about the world now. I'm not concerned about it being red. It being red would require red to be 78 bajillion cells. So I'm not too concerned about that one. It can be 10 cells, but even 10 cells is not nearly enough for it to be red. Let's see. I certainly don't think we can mark this yet. Remind me, do we know that the 1 in row 8, column 5 is the squarest digit? I think we do not know it's the squarest digit. I think the digit could be the other digit, J. Okay, so we're discussing things about 2s. So the key observation here, I guess, is that because of this magic square, which is my favorite part of the setting of this puzzle, by the way, this has done a lot of super cool things. These cells are all purple or orange, and they contain 2 2s. So purple and orange are done 2s. And so, in particular, this 2 is neither purple nor orange. Nor is it in any conceivable universe green. So this 2 is its own region. So let's make that yellow per popular request. Now, yellow has to keep going, because yellow could get at most 3 cells down here. So that's a yellow. Now, yellow still has to keep going, which means yellow is going to take one of these 2 cells, but we know these 2 cells are both the same color, so they're both yellow. So we get some various coloring joy out of that. Yes, I am glad it is a magic square, not in the mathematical sense. It is a magical square in the setting sense. Hey, John, welcome. Happy to have you here for your first stream. You picked quite a puzzle for your first time to stop by, but I hope you enjoy yourself. Let us know if you have any questions or if you have any key insights. Uh, ah, I get a bold region. I get a bold region border there and there. These are important things. Uh, okay, so this too. Okay. So here's the point. So these cells are now. I'm summarizing here Meme Rister's point. These cells are all only from yellow, orange, and blue, but this 2 needs to see 2 non-yellow colors. So it needs to see blue, which means this is blue, and now blue is done. And now that blue is done, now these cells have no choice but to be yellow. So very, very good insight there by Meme Rister. Part of the reason why I was like, I can do this. I can do this puzzle is because I knew that half of my chat had already done it. Okay, so we can now get a region dance because we have an official region dance. Sorry, I'm going to finish bordering the region before we do the region dance. Then we'll call in Zach to do a region dance. Zach has had a very chill day so far, so Zach is very happy to do a region dance for us. Sometimes he complains that those aren't in his contract, but today he's been laying around anyway, so he wants to do the dance for the blue region. This is the blue dance. It's a very nice blue dance. It's very much more excited than you would think a blue dance would be, but blue dance, blue dance, blue dance. Da dee dee da dee da. Okay. I probably should fill in the rest of the candidates for blue, right? So blue has a 0. It needs a 1 and a 2. It's got a 3 and a 4 and a 5. It's got a 6. It needs a 7, 8, and 9. And a lot of these cells I know aren't any of those things. So I know this isn't a 1. Maybe I don't actually know that much about it. This cell, I don't think I know anything about. I'm just not pencil marking this S cell because if I pencil mark it, it'll be a disaster. It's not that I've forgotten it's there. I just don't want to pencil mark it because we actually know there's a 6 in it. And I want to keep track of the actually there's a 6 in it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Darn, I was hoping this was 4 away, but it is 5 away. Let's see. Okay, so these 2 are in a region, and that region is definitely not yellow. Seems likely that region is purple or orange. Okay, well, this cell has to be orange. Let's do the easy one. Orange is now trapped, so this cell has to be orange. Let's see. Oh, no, Naverio has started doing the complicated spots for us. So if this cell was a 2, then it would be in a square unless these are both yellow. However, in order for this to be yellow, ridiculous things would have to happen. So this is not a 2. Very good spot, Naverio. Remember, there are all of the squares, circles, and arrows are given. So now we can start using those. So now we have a 7, 8, 9 triple. So this is not 7, 8, or 9. So now I think I can write in that this is a 1, 2, or a 6, and it definitely contains a 6. Because of that. And somehow I think this is not quite resolved by anything. And that does give us a virtual 1-2 pair in the column. I agree, because these are the 1-2. I wasn't particularly concerned that this cell wanted to be a 1 or a 2 anyway. But it officially cannot be a 1 or a 2. I guess it already officially couldn't be a 1 or a 2. Let's see. Can I do something like place 2 in row 1 now? Let's try and figure out where 2 can go in row 1. So not there, not there, not there, not there, maybe there, maybe there, not there, not there, not there. So 2 in row 1 actually only has 2 places it can go, which are these 2. So 2 in one of these 2 places. I don't know which one yet, but we can actually note, Logan tells us that actually this is a virtual 1-2 pair, because there is a 1 or a 2 in this cell. There's a 1 or a 2 in this cell. There can't therefore be a 2 in this cell. So therefore this cell is a 3. Or as Sam calls it, this is a 1-2-6 triple. So yeah, these 2 cells are definitely in the same region. I agree. I don't know that I want to mark everything as being orange-purple. Let's see. I'm trying to read through. Let's see. Yellow needs row 1, column 1. Right. Yellow does need row 1, column 1, because yellow needs a 1, and there are not a lot of 1s on offer. And I think if it didn't take this, I think the next one it could take is that one. So yellow needs row 1, column 1, so these are both yellow. So now yellow has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yellow has 9 digits. So yellow only gets 1 more cell. And I know yellow does not take this cell. Yellow does not grab anything on this region sum line. Let's see. Row 5, column 2, says Naverio, is pencil markable as 7, 8, 9. Let's see. Okay, so it is not... How do I know it's not a 0? Okay, it could maybe be a 0. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not 5. Let's see. How do I know it's not 6? Oh, by the region sum line. Right. Okay, sorry. Right. Sorry, I was not processing the region sum line. Right. Because this is now not orange, the sum of all of these digits is equal to the sum of these 2 digits. So the minimum that this could possibly be is, let's see, this is summing to at least 0, 4, 5. I feel like the minimum sum here is actually... Okay, what is the minimum sum for these three? Oh, sorry, this is not on the region sum line, which will help. I can get rid of that line now. But these 2 sum to at least 6. So this needs to be at least 5. But it's not 5. So this is 6, 7, 8, 9. These need to sum to at least 7. And so now this can't be a 4 anymore, because the sum now can't possibly be 6, because that would have required a 5 here. So this is 6, 7, 8, or 9, but there's already a 6 down here, remember? So this is, in fact, a 7, 8, 9. And so after great effort, we recover Navario's quintuple of 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, sorry, that's a sextuple. Okay. So that means these 3 digits are known. They are a 0. Let's see, we've got a 1 and a 2. We need a 3, 4. We've got a 5. We've got a 6, and we've got a 79. So these are 0, 3, 4. This cannot possibly be a 0. And actually, it being a 3 or 4 is already very interesting. Because by virtue of being a 3 or a 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, by virtue of being a 3 or a 4, we actually limit what the sum is. So the sum is now at most 13, which means this cell can't be a 9, at least. And the minimum sum is 11, which means this needs to be at least a 7. So this is 7, 8, or 9. 10K subscribers. I would like to have 10K subscribers. Who are we congratulating on 10K subscribers? Okay. 2 in column 8 is placed. Hey, Yura. Okay, so not there, not there, not there, not there. Not there, not there by negative constraint, not there. And so therefore the 2 is there. Gorgeous. Well spotted. The 2 is a hidden single in this column. It goes exactly there. I thought I said 1K. Maybe I did say 10K, and I am doing this prematurely. I may have to do the puzzle again after 10K if someone finds video evidence of me saying that. But I think I said 1K. I feel like I said a higher number than 10K for shards. It is a 10S cell for the subscriber count. Okay, let's see. So one of these is yellow, and whichever one it is, it's not a 3. Yeah, we know that these 2 cells are the same color. Nicholas, they're in the same region. We just don't know what that color is. We could probably prove that it's purple or orange. I agree that yellow needs a 0. I mean, yellow has to take one of these 2 cells, regardless. There is no option. And yellow has its 4 over here. So yellow, in fact, actually takes at most one of these 2, because yellow has its 4 already and its 3. So yellow can only actually take one of these 2 cells, because the 4 is in this column somewhere in yellow. So yellow is currently at, and yellow gets one more cell, remember. So yellow is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yellow has 9 digits in it. Yellow needs one more. It zeros one of these 2, and then it's done. See, MemeRister's claiming I can do something with a square, but I don't even know what digit's in this square. But I guess the 2 has to be the true digit. But I don't like it. But what I can do, as MemeRister points out, is to note that this 5 is not yet fulfilled. This is a much easier way to do this. This 5 is not yet fulfilled, and so this is the yellow 0. By virtue of the fact that yellow already has 3 and 4. And so now yellow is done. It's like a crooked hat. So now these are all one region. Whatever shape that region wants to be. But yeah, the 5 circle was a much better way to do this. Uh, 2 in yellow is definitely in the S cell. It is being pointed out by Sadiori. So there's definitely a 2 in here. That probably lets us place 2 some other places, right? Okay, so where is 2 in this column? Can we do that now? There was already a 2 in yellow. Oh, there was already a 2 in yellow. Thank you. Yes, there was already a 2 in yellow. It was just hiding in this square, as it would happen. Very unfortunate. Okay, obviously these 2 are in the same region. Whatever that region happens to be. Is it possible this region is not green? Okay, so all of these things are orange or purple. And this needs to see something that is not orange or purple. Okay. I can explain Meme Rister's point now. So this needs to see 2 colors that are not whatever color it is. So it is orange or purple. This is orange or purple. So everything here is orange or purple by this 1. This is orange or purple. So this cell cannot be orange or purple. That is Meme Rister's point. So we get a border there, which means that this comes down here like that, which forces that the total of this region sum line actually is 5, because now this is different. I maybe should have double colored these as purple-orange, but that sounded horrifying. So now this region sum line actually does have a total of 5, which is very interesting. So this is part of a sum to 5, but it could just be a 5. Okay, so this 3 is in a square. So if these were all in one region, this 3 in a square would be wrong. So Meme Rister points out. So actually, Meme Rister is arguing the opposite, but I think this 3 actually tells me these don't join, right? Because if they did join, this would only see 2. So these don't join, which now means this has to come out, which means the 3 up here bends like that. I do know I should note all 3 of these are the same color because they have to connect in order to region sum stuff. Hey, Andrew, welcome. Other Andrew. I think Josh is the name that we have the most of, though we've got a lot of J's too. Jay and Josh both start with J, so that could be meaningful. Well, I know the sum is 5. I don't know that that means I need 5s. Jessica also starts with a J. That's true. Ah, good point. Okay, beautiful point by Jay, which is I think what I was kind of thinking when I started this, but then I lost track of it. This is already 3 cells for this in this box, so it can't take any of these. So those get cut off. Yeah, the sum is 5. Yeah, we have recorded that the sum is 5 on this bendy region sum line. It does do interesting things for these digits. Because, for example, this digit can't be a 1 or a 2, and it can't be a 0. And it can't be a 5 either, because if it was a 5, then it would force this digit to also be a 5. So this is only a 3 or a 4. But now, actually, if I think about it, now this digit, it could be a 0. This digit is a 0 or a 2. But either way, this can never be a 4. Because if this is a 4, I would need one of these to be a 1, and neither can be because of that 1. So this is always a 3. One of these two cells is always a 2. Possibly one of them is a 0. These are always connected. That's why I have you all here to help me. Oh, yeah, this is a square. Andrew makes a good point. If this was a 0 in the square, it would have 11 digits already. So this can't be a 0. It's a 2. But this could still be a 0, unfortunately. So the way it worked, Garion, is that this cell couldn't be a 5. Let's see. I bet I can reverse this. So this cell here could only be a 3 or a 4. But then it still needed something. Oh, yeah, why couldn't this... Maybe this could be a 5. Sorry, I think Garion is right. I think I did not actually argue well that this could not be a 5. It being a 5 would be a little ridiculous because it would require 6 regions in here. But I certainly did not... I don't think I articulated well why this could not be a 5. This still can't be a 4, though. Because if this is a 4, I still need a 1 to finish it. Actually, wait. Maybe the 1 could go here, and this could be a 0. One, two, three, four, five. Oh, thank God. Okay. Chris has a good point. This can't be a 5 because of the negative arrow point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a 2. Okay, so this is a 2, and this is a 3. Okay, so we did not lose our progress. Sorry. Yeah, so this is a 2. This is a 3, which makes this a 1. So these two 1s need to be in different regions, notably. Now we know, now this 1 does resolve where 1 goes in blue. Thank you, Sayori. So that 1 puts that there. This is now just is a 2, 6. Nothing fancy like that. So this can join those. That's fine. So we could go, for example, 2, 3, 0, and then a 5 here. And the 0 could go with either. So there's a good bit of flexibility still here for this region sum line. Garion points out that resolves 2 in row 1. So this is a 2 now. Which is cool. Oh, interesting. Okay, so So what can this actually be? How am I making my sum to 5? So this is a sum to 5 and it's done. It could optionally have an additional 0. But this sum to 5, because 1 is axed off of the entirety of this line, so is 2, so is 3. The only way this works is if I make this as a 5 or a 0, 5. So this cell's always 0 or 5. Which is then going to extend down here because this now also can only be 0 or 5. But these could both be 5, I think, maybe, possibly, who knows. 2 in row 6 I'm being asked about. Okay, so 2 in row 6 is not there, not there, not there, not there, there, not there. So the Oh, not there either. So the 2 in row 6 is actually placed here. Very good. Is that all of our 2s? Not quite all of them yet. Oh, this is also a 2, remember. So I am missing only 1 2, right? I am missing the row 9 2. Wait. No, I do have the row 9 2. Yep, that's all of them. I just was forgetting about this cell. Okay. Row 2, column 2, 3 are in the same region because of the 2 in row 3, column 3, right. Let's see. So this 2... So we first have to convince ourselves this 2 is real, because the 2 is in an S cell, so it could be the other one. But I think the 2 has to be real, because if this is not a 2, then it would have to be at least a 5, and there's no way this sees 5 regions around here. So the 2 is the correct number. And so this cell has to be purple or orange, because it already sees purple, orange, and yellow. And actually, all of these cells all have to be purple or orange for this 2 to work, I believe. So all of this is purple-orange. I'm still hesitant to pencil mark that, but... okay. This can't be 9 because it would make the region sum too big. Somehow I pencil marked that before, and then I must have rewound. I lost something somewhere because I did have that pencil marked before. Let's see. I mean, maybe I should highlight stuff that's purple or orange. I think it's going to look heinous when I do it. So let's try it and see how badly we regret it. So all of these cells are purple-orange. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That is 16 purple-orange digits. So we've still got 4 more for them to take. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16. This is 2. Because it's an S cell. Yes, digits. We're counting digits. Okay. This can no longer be purple or orange. Because if it was purple or orange, purple and orange would finish. Actually, maybe that is possible. Maybe this is purple and these are all orange. I don't know. I think I'm going to leave it like this for this particular moment in time to visualize this, but it should not last long. Okay. So this is a good point. So 57 Thorns points out this has to be a new color because it's not purple or orange. There's no way green makes it up there, and it's not red. So this is a new region. Let's make it. We're going to do yellow again. And now yellow needs to take more than just 1, 2 on this line because the sum is more than 2. So that cell's also forced to be yellow. So this is also a line. Row 2, column 4 is 7, 8, 9 by region sumline. It is, because it's the same digit as this digit. Good point. Okay, so this is 7, 8, or 9. Okay, so that's very helpful. And it's not 9, because this cell's yellow. So it's not 9. So this is 7 or 8. If this was 8, it would require all of this be purple. If it were 8, it would require all of that be purple, which would also require these two be purple. And now this digit would be a 4, which doesn't work because there's already a 4 in this region. So this is not 8, it's 7. Which then tells us that this is 7, which tells us that this is 6. So this is at least 12 now. So if this is 4, this can't be 7 anymore. I am being told that would also put too many digits in purple. Okay, so interestingly, purple and orange have their 3s, because there's a purple-orange 3 up here and a purple-orange 3 down here. Maybe we should ask, where's the other purple-orange 4 going to go? Oh, hey, Smarkus, welcome. Hopefully you enjoyed CTC's stream. I was intrigued by it, but I did not know about it until right before this. Let's see, 4 can be placed in column 4 by the negative constraint. Okay, 4 is not here by the 4 there. 4 is not in any of these places. 4 is not there. 4 is not here. Let's see. So 4 needs to go either up here or down here. Which negative constraint? Okay, this 4... I don't see how I know which of those two it is. Okay, Nicholas would like me to write 4, 7, 8 in these cells and mark that that's not a 7. Row 1, column 4 is not a 4. Oh, from the column. Somehow I kept counting this and going like, no, that's 5. Okay, yes, this is 4 above this cell, so this is not a... this is not a 4. So therefore, when I look in the column now, because of the negative constraint and Sudoku, we actually get to place a 4 here. That was very cool. Very well spotted. Let's see. So this cell is a 7, 8, or 9. Just to finish off... No, that's not true. Don't listen to me. This row needs a 7, 8, and a 9 and a 0. So this is a 0, 7, 8, 9, which are somewhat different digits. Let's see. Yeah, we're definitely likely to break the record with this puzzle for longest stream solve. Okay, so so these are claimed. So so Afraid Not is saying these have to be purple because if they're orange, that's orange. And now this 7 being purple requires all of this to be purple. Agree. Okay. So if this is not purple, then all of this is purple and this is cut off. So this is purple. That is a very good spot, Afraid Not. So that means that now because there's a 3 in purple, this cell's orange. So therefore this cell's orange because they have to connect. So now if this is purple, that seems very problematic. I don't think 2 is in orange already. These two cells are a purple to a various combinations pair. Let's see. I can write in the rest of what goes in this column. That seems like a good idea. Let's see. I still need a 0. I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4. We need a 5 and a 6. We got a 7, and we need an 8 and a 9. Let's see. Are any of those sort of helped along by anything? Maybe not as much as I fantasized about. This can't possibly be a 0, or there's no way I could make this work. I don't think this could be as high as 9. Okay, so if this is orange, I'm trying to work this out. So people are claiming you can do something with a negative constraint on circles with this 3-4 pair here. So there are no circles here. I can't quite visualize it. I said I don't think this could be purple, but I don't really want to prove it can't be purple. Because that seems very complicated to argue that I can't sort of like snake orange around it. Okay, so the 7 purple okay. If this cell is orange, then everything else... Okay, so this is the point. If this cell is orange, now in order for the 7 to work, all of that has to be purple, and now orange is isolated. So this is not orange, it's purple. Okay. So now that seems very helpful because now we can do this cell because now this cell can't be purple or we've separated the oranges. So this is not purple, it is orange. And so now because this is orange, this is purple because we can't have two 2s in the same region. So we've now got all of that stuff. Okay, so if this was orange, again, we would need all of this stuff to be purple, and it would be twain. So this is purple. Let's see. Okay, so now this can't be a 4 anymore, because if this was a 4, we would have 4. It would be in a circle, and it's not. So that's a 3, and that's a 4, and that's an 8, and that's a 7. And so this is 5 plus 7, so that's 12, so that's an 8. This is a 4. Sorry, it is a 4. Uh-oh. Oh, I have not pencil marked 9s in column 1. When did that happen? Okay, let's see. We'll go back this far. I never pencil marked in 9s. Sure enough. Okay, still not a 4. So now this is definitely a 4. It's just something else as well. A longish time. Yes, I will accept that. Okay, this sees 2 regions. It sees 2 regions already. This sees 2 regions. It sees whatever this is already. That's fine. Purple is currently at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, purple only gets 1 more cell. And the 1 more cell has to get seen by this 7. So one of these 2 cells is the last purple cell. Oh, row 7, column 1 can't be F, I am being told. Thank you, Jay. I missed that by the negative constraint. If this is purple, orange is now completely penned in, which would be more clear if I drew in my borders. So this is orange, not purple. And now purple needs to take this cell. And now purple is done. And orange, I don't think I actually knew that this cell doesn't take this, do I? Do I really know that this cell's not orange? I don't think I really know that this cell's not orange. I'm going to unmark that, although maybe I do. I don't know. Let's see. This is now a 4 or a 5. Do I know which it is between 4 and 5? Oh, because of the circle 3. It was real. Okay. So that means this is a 4, and this is orange. Okay, now this can't be a 3 either. So because this can't be a 3, I need at least 1 more orange for this to see. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 digits in orange. So orange has some more to give. Orange can't take this cell, however. So orange needs to grow. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so orange gets 1 more cell. So orange can't take the S cell, or it would have 11 digits. Now, yellow needs an escape route. So yellow needs to escape through here. If this cell was red, for example, we would isolate yellow. So these are all yellow. Good spot to Nicholas for pointing that out first in chat that I saw, at least. And so now orange must finish here. And so now orange is done. And so this is a 5, I believe, if I am counting correctly. That is a 5. Let's see. What is left in orange? Oh, no, I don't know what this region sum line is. Let's fill in what's left in orange and then think about things. Orange still needs a 0. It's got a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5. It needs a 6. It's got a 7. It needs an 8 and a 9. Okay, well, this is not a 0. It can go at least that far. It's not a 6 either. because of that. So this is an 8 or a 9. It's interestingly the same 8 or 9 as that one. If this was a 9, this would have to be a 7, is chat's point. And there's already a 7 there. So in fact, this is not a 9, it's an 8. Which by the region sum line makes that an 8 and makes that a 6 and that a 9. So this is not a 9, that's not a 9. Also, we know the sum is 8. Oh, because we knew the sum was 8 over here. Okay, so people people correctly pointing out this line connects to this line over here. So has this been 6 like forever? Because we knew the sum of the line? I think this cell might have been a 6 literally forever. Let's see. Okay, so this needs to get out, whatever it is. Can probably get some improvement on there, but we'll work on it. Okay, let's see. Sudoku in row 3, I am being asked about. So Sudoku logically, this is a 3, because there's a 4 and a 5 in the row. I think that means this can't be yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, if this were yellow, yellow would only get 8 digits. So this is not yellow. Right? I'm pretty sure. Let me double check that. If this were yellow, then these would be the 3 yellow cells. And now yellow would not be able to take either of these. And then yellow would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It would have 9 digits at most. Oh, also red needs to get out is a good point. Okay, so either way, this cell's definitely not yellow. But good point about red. We can let red out. Red can't take the entire region sum line. Yellow needs to keep getting out though, because yellow has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 digits. So yellow needs 2 more. So yellow can get these 2, and yellow can take either that cell or that cell. I'm going to fill in this 7, I promise. A lot of people in chat are very stressed by the fact that I've not filled in this 7. So the total is 12, which makes that an 8. Means that's not an 8, and this is not an 8. These aren't 7. Oh, so this is a 7. So this is a 7 with an 8 or 9. I glanced at 6 in purple. I haven't figured out where it is yet. I think the correct question is where is 6 in row 3? Because 6 in row 3 is not here. So 6 in row 3 is there. So this isn't a 6. Oh, there's a 6 up here. That would have done it as well. I kept looking and seeing, like, I don't know how I know which of these is 6. And then I kept thinking, I bet they're forgetting about that. But they did not. Okay, so people really now are raving for me to fill in this cell. Let's see. It's not 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is a 9. Okay, so we've got a 9 there. Okay, so let's fill in the rest of this row. We've got a 1. We need a 0. We've got a 1 and a 2. We need a 3. We've got a 4. We need a 5. We've got a 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so these are 0, 3, 5. Well, those aren't 3. So therefore, this is 3. And this is a 1, 3 is the value of this S cell. This is not 0 or 5 or 8. So this is a 9. So this is not a 9. That's not a 9 either. Okay. This total is at least 15. So if this were a 5, no, this is still fine, I think. Okay, this total... Oh, sorry, this total. I don't need these lines in here anymore because now they're marked as orange. I don't always clean those up good, but there we go. We cleaned up some more of those. All right. These two cells can be 0. They can't be 1, 2, 3. They could be 4 or 5. They can't be 6. They could be 7. They can't be 8 or 9. Okay. This is not 4 or 7, so it is 0 or 5. And this one I see much more flexibility about. If this was 0, I think that doesn't work. Because if this is 0, it makes the sum for this line 5. So I guess this cell could be a 5, but then this 2 doesn't work. And this 2 could have a 0 there or there. But then I run out of zeros and I run into the fact that there's no way I could put a 3 anywhere. So this is never 0. I can see. I actually have a 0, 5 pair in the column. That's an easier way to do that than the way I did it. We have a 0, 5 pair in the column, people. Jay is correctly pointing out there's no universe where this is not red, because red still is not big enough. So this red needs to escape to there. So this already sees its requisite one other color. So every cell over here is either red or yellow, but yellow only gets one more cell, remember. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yellow only gets one more. It could take that one. Yellow can never get to these two. So these are always red. Let's see. So this cell, interestingly, cannot be yellow or red, because red already has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Red already has 9 cells. Red gets at most one more cell. This cell I actually know. I'm going to mark this that this is red or yellow. I think that's clear, and this is red or yellow. So these are the 2 cells that finish off yellow. As Jay says very succinctly, yellow and red together have 20 digits. Those 2 cells being the 2 that finish them off. So we get this whole whabam around here. Let's see. Yeah, Jay says it yet another way, which is that these are the 2 cells that yellow and red can take, and so they are donezo. Let's see. This is not a 7 anymore. Okay. More Sudoku. Thank you to Sayori. This is now a 4-8, and it really is a 4-8. It's an actual 4-8. And so because this is an actual 4-8, this is not an 8. This is a 9, and that's an 8, which means the sum here is 16, which means I need these 2 to sum to 12, which means this is never a 6. Oh, also this is never a 6 because of that there. So this is either a 5 and a 7, or it's an 8 and a 4. Well, it's not an 8 and a 4. So this is a 5 and a 7. Oh, 3 is on the line. Oops, sorry. This still isn't a 6, though. Sorry, the total is actually 19. 19. And so these need to sum to 15. So this had better be an 8 and a 7 then. Because it can't be 5 and 10, so it is 8 and 7. Hopefully people like that better. All right, these 2 cells, to finish off the row, are, let's see, I've got a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I need a 5. I've got a 6. I've got a 7 and 8, and I need a 9. So these are a 5-9 pair. I don't think I immediately know which way that works out. Okay, so now, yeah, this line's total is at least 11. So it's at least a double-digit number. So these two are automatically in the same region. And it could be 11 with that being a 2 and a 9, for example. Oh, let's see. 0 in row 8 is placed. Okay, actually, let's do a little bit more Sudoku. This is not 7 or 8. But this isn't 0 because of the 0-5 pair here. So that places a 0 over here, which now means this is a 1-9 to finish the row. So 1-9 S cell. So this isn't a 9. Let's see. Column 3 does not have a lot left going on, so let's fill that in. So we've got... we still need a 0. We've got a 1. We need a 2. No, we've got a 2. It's in the S cell. We've got a 3 and a 4. We need a 5. We've got a 6 in the S cell and a 7 and an 8, and we need a 9. So these are 0, 5, 9. By the way, the 6 in the S cell also eliminates 6 from this cell. So this is a 0 or a 9 only. This is 0, 5, or 9. Well, it's not 9. So that gives us a 0, 5 pair, which makes this a 9. Which then Kachinkos over to here. So that's not a 9. Also, there's an 8 in the region already. So this is a 6. And that's a 0. Just to finish orange. So now the total here is 11 for this line, which is interesting. Okay, what is left in this row? Let's see. This row is missing... Let's see. We've got a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3. We need a 4. We've got a 5 and a 6. We need a 7, 8, and a 9. I fear I cannot do an awful lot of eliminations based on that. Let's see. Jay had a great observation, I am told. Row 9, column 7, not 5 by the arrow constraint. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, sure enough. Okay, this is 5 away from that, so it's not 5, so it is 9. And that's a 5. Very cool. Spot by J. This column, we've got a 0, we've got a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, we need a 5, we've got a 6, we need a 7, we've got an 8 and a 9. So this is a 5-7 pair. The 0-5 pair in this row resolves that this is the 7. So that's the 5. Let's see, this row is missing only a handful of things now. Let's see, we're missing a 0. We've got a 1 and a 2 and a 3. We need a 4. We've got a 5 and a 6, and we need a 7. So this is 0, 4, 7. But this is definitely the 0, because I need a 0 in this row, and it can't go there. So this is the 0. This is a 4, 7 S cell. If I did that correctly. So now these things that are in red are not 4 or 7. That's a 0-5 pair. That sounds legit. Okay, let's see. So red is missing... actually, let's do the column. This column is missing an 8 or a 9 to finish off. I assume people in 1,000 years will still be trying to be the first to solve Naplu Ultra. That is my prediction. Let's see. This row must be missing. Oh, no, it's because the S cell is absorbing lots of the digits. Column 5 is done. Yeah, this digit is okay, so it is not 0. It's not 1. It's not 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 because of the 0-5 pair, or 6 or 7. Or 9, so it is an 8. So this digit is an 8, which makes that a 9, which makes that an 8. Which goes ahead, removes 8 as a candidate from that cell. This cell we can fill in now. 0, 1, 2, 3. We need a 4. We've got a 5 and a 6. And we need a 7. And then we've got an 8 and a 9. So this is a 4, 7, which makes that a 9. Means we can fill in this cell. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is also an 8. So these are all one region. Now, that is one consequence of that. So this all needs to be one region, so that's also part of that region. I can't imagine this cell isn't part of that region as well, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I can at least mark these now. I'll join that. And so that region does not take this cell because that region already has a 4. So that region then takes, okay, so that region does come down and take this cell and that cell. So that's some more geometry there. I keep looking at this 4, 8 and thinking, oh, I bet I can resolve that. But of course it is resolved because it's an S cell. That's what S cells do. Okay, so what else am I going to say? Okay, so this cell I have not, I need to take out some digits. It's not an 8. Okay, so it is from 0, 5, 6, apparently. But it definitely contains a 6, for whatever it's worth. Definitely is a 6 in here, and a 0 or a 5. Okay, these two are definitely in the same region. For whatever that's worth. This 1 here... Interesting. It's interesting that this 1 and this square are in different regions. This puzzle, by the way, Andrew, has just been fantastic. I have absolutely adored this puzzle. Great fun. Yeah, this is the 11 line. Let's see. There's probably a negative constraint being used somewhere to finish this up. Row 1, column 7 is not yellow by the negative circle constraint. Very nice. Very good catch, Jay. If this was yellow, that would be 5 yellows and it would be in a circle, and it's not, so it's red. Beautiful. Oops. So let's make it more colors. So it's red, which means this is not red, so it's yellow, which lets us finish that up. Wait, what did I do? I did not do that correctly, which means this is yellow. Sorry. It's yellow. It's not red. There we go. Okay. That's going to finish up the 0-5 stuff. Once I actually do the correct thing. So red now has a 5, so that's a 0. That's a 5. This S cell, we know what's in it. I guess we've known what was in this for a while, haven't we? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 4 and 7 live in here. That 5 looks over, sees that that's not a 5, so this is a 0, 6 kind of S cell. So that is a 5. Let's see. Oh, maybe I've still not quite finished resolving everything yet. Ah, yes, the bet cell was a 0. To those of you who bet and are still here, the bet cell was a 0. Okay. This 2 can't be part of this whole mess, because this whole mess already has a 2. This 2 can't be part of this whole mess, because this whole mess already has a 2. I think I'm pretty convinced this isn't joining to any existing color, right? The only existing color with available cells is green, and green already has a 4. So I can safely make this the new purple. The new blue? Maybe the new blue. I think the new blue. Blue actually only gets one of these 6s. Let's see. Yeah, blue taking like that would make a whole lot of sense. I do know blue only gets one of these 6s. Let's see. These are definitely one color. I see lots of mostly compelling arguments in chat that this probably does this. I think the point is that blue can in no universe wind up here. Because this cell can't be blue. And so blue is locked out of this passage. Blue can't take this cell because blue has a 9. So blue can never take any of these goodies. So blue has to get everything at once out of life, out of down here. And so in particular, blue needs a 5, which has to be that one. Well, chat will call region can only get this one with 75% accuracy, but I tend to be a little more careful out of fear. Now, blue can't take this cell because then it could never get to the 5. So this is now lopped off. And so now blue has to continue down here, which means blue has to continue down here. And now blue can't take this cell because then that would make the region sum line not work because the sum is 11. So blue takes this cell, and now blue can't take any more cells. And now we really hope that blue has the correct number of cells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, blue has the correct number of cells. So that is good. Okay, so we have 2 regions left, I believe. We have green and an as of yet uncolored region. This is definitely the as of yet uncolored region, which I'm going to make a new red region. I would love to be able to... Okay, so 8 is already in red. Sorry, 8 is already in green. So this has to be red, this string of digits that's connected. Now, this this branch is not red, so it now has to be green, I believe, because I don't think we have any more regions left. And so now, 0, 6, 4, 7. Okay, so red already has both a 0 and a 5, so this cell can't be red, so it's green. So now red has to keep growing out like that. Red still has to keep growing out like that. So we get some more goodies down there in terms of these things. Now, because of this, now the region sum line is going to disambiguate some of this, because now this can't be a 0 anymore. So this is a 5 and that's a 0. And that's a 5 and that's a 0. Now, red already has a 6, so red cannot take this cell. And now it's pretty clear, though, that all of these are the same color. And that color is no longer red, so that color must be green. Now green has taken a 9, and so green can't take this cell, so this cell is red. And green needs this to connect. So I think this goes along like this. Let's double check that this worked. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. And so I think we have in fact now solved this puzzle. What a puzzle. Wow, that was amazing. I think we are actually done. I think we have everything filled in. Who wants to check whether there are any negative constraints that were missed? But yeah, what a puzzle. Great, great fun. I don't think we ever got stuck there for any appreciable amount of time. I think it was pretty nice. Nothing heinous happened, I don't think. I tend to associate... I think it's just because the puzzle Andrew made me for, I don't know, 2 or 3 times ago. I think it was for the 5 list challenge. Andrew made me a puzzle with this where it's like, oh, that digit can't possibly be a 7, because if it was a 7, it would force the entire grid. And then it turned out it had to be a 7, and it forced the entire grid. So I kept expecting whenever it looked like something was... like early on, when we were arguing whether this line could be 3 as the sum, I was like, oh, it's going to turn out that the region sum line is 3. But I don't think anything like that happened in this puzzle. This was just a pure fun little puzzle. We're going to put in all of these. Yeah, pretty much 3 hours on the nose. So I think the 9 and While My Guitar Gently Sweeps, that is exactly the one I was thinking about. Yeah, the thing. So yeah, of course the timer did not stop when I actually finished it. But 3 hours and 3 minutes sounds about right. Yeah. So I think this is now officially the longest stream, or the longest solve on stream. Yeah, I think this is just a cute little puzzle. Very cool. And I also like that this one looks like a dinosaur with a little like hammerhead shark sort of head. Oh, maybe Carousel was 3.5. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. Yeah, just an innocent little SL chaos construction. Yeah, I loved that. This is I think this might take my favorite Andrewsarchus puzzle away from Deuces Wild, which is one of my favorite puzzles of all time, but I think I like this one even more. Well, this is the camel. It's the dissected camel, as they say, or the whatever the art term is. Yeah, great fun. I'm going to take a quick break, and then I will...